See, when you say last time you said it that without loyalty, no political party will come into his enemies into office.
I see.
If we're going to kill it, we should let people realize that certain things are not acceptable anymore.
How would you kill it?
But you have agreed at this point that assuming that there's no merit in whatever is brought,
yes,
the president could kill it.
They didn't get a second term. They were sacked from office.
Thank you very much for being part of this program. I'm sure that it hasn't just been the newspaper read, but it has been the subject matter of, as it were, commentary. Well, good morning and welcome to Press Review on Friday, and I'm sure that all of us are ready for the bout, which will look at issues ranging from whether or not there's a brighter future ahead of us, as the president alleges, and NAGRAT also declares strike. The government says that they've been paid. They said they have not been paid. We want to find out exactly what the issues are. And the president giving us the assurance, yes, he says that no U.S. military base in Ghana, president declares, yes, and the GRA captures taxpayers about more than 1 million, TIN issued, and then we'll also find out exactly what happened, during the lockout of workers of the controller and the accountant general. Now, before we delve into this matter, before we look at it, I want to say that I have with me Alhaji, who would always be on our program, Alhaji Rashid Haruna Ibrahim, who is going to spend his Friday with me, so I'm going to Juma prayers, right?
Yes, inshallah.
Well, I expect Amma Pratt, civil society advocate, she's going to be here with me too, and Mr. Boniface Gambila, former NPP MP, Nabdan constituency. Gentlemen, you're welcome. Whilst awaiting Amma's arrival, let us pay tribute to an illustrious daughter of Africa, Winnie Mandela, who passed away in the course of the week. I think that you want to know something about this woman. Now, GTV has put something together, and please stay tuned. Well, I'll get back with the tribute to Winnie Mandela, and but whilst I'm waiting for the footage, why not look at the fact that we have some journalists in quotes, there's a quotation here, who have been deported from Australia. We're told that they were in there to cover the games in Australia, and most people are refuting the fact that they're giving them the permission to do that. Let me just start with Mr. Gambila. I'm getting to understand that whenever there are some of these issues in international circles, people take advantage of them. I think this is one such case, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, say good morning to our viewers and ourselves, and to the people of Ghana.
And tell them why you have been running away from our program.
Yeah, I've been so busy.
I understand that one.
Doing corporate governance training and all those kind of things.
For the sake of nations, isn't it?
For the sake of Ghana and Africa.
Good, well, good.
I'm an old young pioneer.
Really? All right, okay.
People take advantage when this kind of events are on board. I don't have a problem if people will want to take advantage for reasons, because it's the system we have lived since slavery to date. We need a replay. We need a kind of interrelations. We cannot just abandon that slavery ended and therefore we should forget going to the countries that had enslaved us. That I don't have a problem, because these big powers are big powers because they depended on us, our resources, natural resources, human resources. So the slavery is a history now. Now we've reached a point that people think, yes, our ancestors went to these lands, and so can we also go? But then we have, for some reason, there are procedures now in place, and the procedures are not so flexible, free, and fair to them from their perceptual view. But then, where we have rules and regulations, it's good to follow them. When you try to break some of the rules, it becomes what we quote-unquote illegal. Now, the people, they supposed journalists who went, where did they go from? From Ghana? From Kotoka? And are we sure they are all even Ghanaians? Because this country, things can happen. Or this Africa zone, things can happen. Now we have a ministry, and we have some institutions under the ministry who are responsible in organizing or dealing with these issues. So how did it happen that this number of journalists entered Australia with problems? How come the GJA is not aware of its journalists traveling on the event? What has always been the role of GJA when this kind of events are taking place? I remember the World Cup football in Brazil. We had a recognized or a dedicated crew representing, with the team, with Black Stars, who had to cover events and report back home from various media houses. At that time, we did not hear of journalists being deported. It was supporters. But today they are talking of journalists. So I think the institutions have to tell us how it happened. And I believe once they are deported, the authorities will immediately begin to find out how they got visas to go and under whose ticket. I know individuals can go on their own, and you have to apply for visa through, like I say, rules and regulations. But if these are purported to be journalists and they are not journalists, it means that they were going for the usual greener pastures, because some young Ghanaians still have the high propensity to travel overseas and work and make it and come back or remain there. So I believe that is what might have motivated some of them. This is my suspicion. So until the investigations come out,
we have to be subject. We have to make statements subject to the investigation.
Yes.
Elijah Ibrahim.
Yeah. Let me first take up this opportunity to say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all our viewers and listeners. Today being a very special Friday, to all our friends and also to the panelists. I take a slightly different view from Honorable Boniface. See, this is something that I think borders on the nation view, the integrity, the view that Ghanaian, the country Ghana is looked at. This is a very despicable, disgraceful way of doing things. When you look at what the BBC, Reuters, and other international organizations are reported, it brings to question, how did people who are not accredited journalists get the opportunity, get the accreditation, the visa, to go to Australia and act like they are journalists? So that when they are even questioned, when they are questioned about what kind of sports that they cover, what they do, what their competencies and skills are, they are unable to speak coherently about this. We know that there is a Ministry of Youth and Sports that this whole thing, this whole Commonwealth Games come under. The Minister for Youth and Sport must come and account and let us know how it is that 50, not 1, not 5, not 10, but 50 so-called journalists made it out of here accredited under the Commonwealth Committee to get to Australia only for the Australian Immigration Services to figure out that these are fake journalists. Now, we also know this kind of compounds what has been happening over and over again. You know, Ghana becomes the butt of jokes, you know, set up for ridicule because someone is doing what they are not supposed to do, or someone is asleep on the job. Because there's no way that you would accredit people, you give accreditation to 50 journalists, so-called journalists, to go out there and then they are not even able to speak coherently about it.
Let me get it clear. If you say there's no way that you give, who gives when it comes to some of these things?
Very good.
So I want
to
touch on
the whole thing. The whole thing is this. This comes under the Ministry of Youth and Sports, and under the Ministry of Youth and Sports, you have the Commonwealth Committee that, you know, gives accreditation to those journalists who go out there to cover.
So is this? Are you just saying this by way of, say, a theoretical possibility?
No. This is real.
Or that was what happened.
This is what happened. There is a committee that has been set up that gives accreditation to the journalists.
So nobody else could have given them accreditation apart from this committee?
Yes.
But the Ministry of Sports has come out to deny this.
Well,
the PRO says that no, they never gave these accreditations. They never gave it to these people.
They never gave it to the 50.
Yes.
They never gave it to the 50.
Yes.
The PRO of the Ministry of Youth and Sports said that.
Clearly, yes.
But there is, under the Ministry of Youth and Sport, there's a committee, the Commonwealth Committee, that organizes this. Okay, that gives the accreditation, that selects the journalists who go. And I can tell you from scouring and looking at social media, and in fact there was an interview on City FM where journalists who claim to be City FM journalists, Bernard Avle and the other guys, do not know who they were. So what I'm telling you is this: there is some kululu, there is some, you know, corruption, there is some underhanded activity. There's reports on social media of people being charged 5,000, you know, cities for them to get the visa to go when they know that they are not. In fact, we also have reports that 8 of the ones.
I want to make sure that the ministry is not complicit in this.
Well,
because that is where our interest will be.
I understand. The bottom line is this: the Ministry of Youth, the Commonwealth Committee comes under the Ministry of Youth and Sports.
So by necessary deduction,
the buck stops there. The buck stops there. If someone is asleep at the switch,
right,
we need to. The Ministry of Youth and Sport needs to do an investigation. Okay, you know, put together a committee that looks into it, and then come and account to us. How is it that over and over again there are always these scandals that come up? As you know, Honorable said, when we had the issue in during the World Cup, okay, a committee was set up. The World Cup in Brazil, a committee was set up and they looked into it. We need to do the same thing here, because we cannot, after all this hard work, Ghana being looked upon as the beacon of democracy, a beacon, a gateway to Africa, in doing all these good things, only to have some people, for their parochial interests, tarnish our image, you know, and sell our integrity for nothing. This is the concern that I have, and that is what needs to be done.
Let's plug this thing down. You were saying that, if I get it right, what you're saying is that the ministry should have been very much interested in all this.
It is their responsibility. It's for them to set up the protocol, the procedures, and the processes and procedures that gives accreditation to genuine journalists, not fake journalists.
So that if the Commonwealth Committee gave out names, they should have passed it to the ministry before they get to the embassies.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And all of that may have been done, but illegally, so that, you know, not knowing people who
on the blind side
are giving out money and taking bribes so that they can have the visas. But, you know, once you get the visa, you get there. It's not an automatic that you can just enter the country. And that is what has happened, where they were questioned. They were questioned. One of them was questioned. There's been a lot of reports on this.
I'm sure if they didn't say they were supporters, it would have been better for them.
Right. They were asked, what kind of sport do you cover? One of them said badminton. And he was just asked rudimentary questions about what is badminton about? What, you know, does he have a social media account that they can look at to see what kind of reporting he has done in the past? Nothing. They can't even tell, you know, just the basic questions that you would think the journalists would know. And in fact, just this morning, the GIJ has issued GJA has issued a statement saying that they basically are distancing themselves from this because it is not their responsibility and to issue any accreditation to any journalist.
But did anyone mention them? Did anyone mention them to start with?
No, I think they are distancing themselves, you know, just to make sure that some of that mud does not get on themselves.
Yes. In the past, they've never taken interest in someone who goes to cover what.
So you want to... What are the processes and procedures?
See, so something I would sympathize with a minister like that because he would think that somebody is doing his job.
The bottom line
is the guy sleeps on the switch.
Bottom line is the buck stops with him.
That's why I'm saying that you would not know that a crime is going to be committed until it is committed.
Right, okay. So on that note, let me just take a quick break, come back, and we'll find out what's the nature of this crime, who should be blamed for it, and etc. Whilst we admit our next panelist, Amma Pratt, on the show. Please stay tuned. Thank you very much for being part of this program. I'm sure that it hasn't just been the newspaper, but it has been the subject matter of, as it were, commentary.
This moment tonight. Welcome. Many thanks for joining us. Who did you? The real stories.
Abdallah, have you put pepper in the tea?
My environment alone will tell you that I'm rich.
I've chosen to be in one of the very shallow pits. They also do have miscreants, but it doesn't mean that all of them are criminals.
We do not have a good geo-database of our mineral resources.
This is a time for us to share the oil money.
So terrorism is not going to be accepted on this continent.
If they see them coming here and going back, they will be killed.
But God willing,
Well, back again and looking at the aftermath and the ramifications of those fake journalists, quote unquote, who have been caught up in Australia. My understanding is that they can't even tell us exactly what sports they report on. They should have at least said they were even supporters. That would have given them a leeway. Journalists is a totally different thing. Well, GJ, after morning, Dr. Moni says that no, he doesn't know them well. I think that was the issue we were tackling with Dr. Gambila, who says that when it comes to blaming anybody within the structures of politics, it will be a bit difficult. I said this unfortunate, but suddenly Alhaji Ibrahim says that the buck must stop somewhere. But you were saying that, well, if a crime will be committed, the minister wouldn't know. The deputy minister wouldn't know, the chief director wouldn't know. But if somebody did not sleep on the switch, suddenly they would know, they would news and know that there's something happening.
That is difficult.
It's a difficult one, isn't it?
You know, yesterday, the Bank of Ghana caught a microfinance company, faking documents, and has been operating over the period.
Yeah, exactly.
Until yesterday that they arrested.
Sometimes some people operate as lawyers for a number of years before they're caught.
And doctors.
Doctors.
So not until the fellow is caught.
You really know.
He's not even a thief until he's caught.
Right. Okay. So you don't think that we need to be hard on this, the structure?
You may have to look at the efficiencies.
Efficiencies, right.
What systems did they put in place? The embassy, what checks did they also put in place?
Did they write back to the ministry? Did they write back to
So it's a dual thing or a multiple.
So it was a systemic failure, maybe.
Yeah. So maybe we have to look at the system. If you improve the system.
Right. We have some of our colleagues out there in the cold in Australia who are saying they're journalists, but well, the story is that they are not, and they would have to be brought.
I mean, I'm looking at the statement, you know, from the GJA.
But it's been a long time. How's the baby doing?
My baby is fine.
Good.
No sleep last night.
Well, just to tell everybody that you. I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
Like I was saying, I'm looking at this, you know, document from the GJA, and it's in order. I mean, the GJA obviously would have records of, you know, who their members are and all of that. But let's look at what is and what is supposed to be, you know. So ideally, this would have, so let me correct myself again, this would have been in order, ideally. But the reality on the ground, and I like the fact that you said our colleagues, because as I sit here, I work with the media house. Am I a journalist? Because am I registered with the GJA? Have I been to journalism school? You know, these are all questions that come up when things like this happen. We have people who identify themselves as broadcasters who are not necessarily journalists. It happens. We're in this country when somebody, at least 2 times actually, when 2 people have won Journalist of the Year, and we've had journalists come out and say that they are not one of us, they are not journalists, you know. And these people have themselves identified themselves as broadcasters, not journalists. And so it's not black and white. Right. There are lots of grays, you know. And I feel like the GJA perhaps should come clear, you know, one way or the other, and tell us, do they protect the interests of only the registered members or practitioners? You see, because that is what this might perhaps come up to. I don't want to get into this specific facts as to whether they are real journalists or not. I'm just throwing it out. I'm making a general, you know, statement. Assuming that they were proper journalists and this had happened to them, let's assume, for instance, assuming it was me, you know, or somebody else, or, you know, the lady I came with, Maud, for instance, she works with Pan African TV, but she is not a registered member of the GJA, you know. So assuming that we had sent her on an assignment and something like this had happened to her, what would the GJA's position be? Would it be that because on our records she's not our member, we disassociate ourselves from this situation? Or they would find out, is she a practitioner? Is she doing...
That is where, that becomes a common denominator.
Yes, for me, that perhaps is where I want to situate this whole, you know, because the truth is that ideally, what is that every practicing, again, the word journalist should be registered with the GJA, should know, be paying dues, be involved in its activities and all that. But on the ground, realistically, that's not what is happening in Ghana. But these people are also practitioners. I mean, we are also practicing and helping and working towards the development of our dear, you know, country. So for me, that is what this
Because if you look at paragraph 2, it says that GJA wishes to put on record that it does not know the identity of,
the so-called
so this argument finds room in this kind of context.
And so I would have wished that this particular document would have stated, for instance, that we have done our investigations and we have realized that these people are not journalists, they are not practicing with any media house. Then you understand that, okay, it's not just the GJA protecting its own and leaving those who do not fall within its, what's it called, membership, whatever, the association, for instance, leaving them out in the cold. That's not what is happening. But it is the truth is that these people are actually at all not who they say they are. Then I can 100% go along with this document. But as it stands now, to say that you do not know them without telling us if you did any investigation, to actually know if they actually exist or not, and things like that.
The issue is that, of course, if anyone comes up with this, the GJA would have a case, but she's broadening the argument. She says that, look, there are people who are practicing who are not even members. But so if for them to say they don't know them would be in place to some extent. But you see, you mentioned systemic failure. And you think that maybe procedures will not follow. Honorable Gambile was saying that, look, maybe the embassies themselves should have, as it were, written to some of these media houses, because City FM, for instance, is saying that, look, all those guys who are saying they're coming from our vaults, we don't know them. And maybe somebody's working, phantom individuals are working for Bernard Lay, doesn't even know them. And that kind of argument. So what we're saying is that, should we blame somebody? Somebody ought to be blamed.
Oh, yes.
Definitely. But he says it's a systemic failure, can't hold one person responsible, blah, 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 blah. He said, we are fair.
The investigations
will show, okay.
Because somebody may have come to do fake something.
Right.
And collected money as between 5,000 to 12,000.
Right.
That was the range I read about.
It was selling very well.
It could be, and you remember I told you that certain individuals could also apply to go.
Right.
So the investigations will show. There are what you call travel and tours. They keep advertising wealth, something, Commonwealth, Australia, Russia, apply, deposit money. It could be them.
Okay, so we should approach it from that angle. Yeah. So that was what he said, and I'm saying that look, we need to pull it down somewhere.
I agree with him, obviously. I mean, and it happens not just with journalists, it happens with sportsmen too. It happens all the time. People, use any available avenue to travel. Right. Musicians, entertainers. You have a situation where there's a show outside, and people pay the artists so they can join the entourage. They go, they never come back. These are things that we all know happen.
But you know what, though? I really think that the focus should really be shifted. It should not be shifted to the GJA. It should be on the Ministry of Youth and Sports, because they are the ones that gave the accreditation to the real journalists and the fake journalists.
Of this thing.
GJA is out of this.
Unless it's proof.
There are systems, there are procedures, processes that work. Somebody did something wrong. Somebody was asleep at the switch. Somebody did something corrupt to give accreditation to those 50 or whatever number of journalists. And that is what we need to interrogate. Right. That's what we need to look at.
I agree. Right. You can't take it away from her. Right. Love her or hate her, she represents something. My biggest difficulty with her passing, and this is because I've read, some of these articles that have come from South Africa itself, and people have sought to vilify her, people have sought to, go back to the things she did.
Even in death, yeah?
Even in death, unfortunately. And I asked myself if history would be kind to this woman, if history would be kind in capturing her essence and what she stands for and all of that. I think that in normal situations, people act normally. But when you have abnormal situations, sometimes it calls for some radical, and especially in Africa, we are not used to women being those people who do the radical. We expect the woman to be the voice of calm, the voice of reason, to show compassion. We want every woman in leadership to be Mother Teresa. But no, we can also be radical, and we can also do the not so nice things sometimes. And so for me, Winnie Mandela, I think that, let me say this. People also have issues with her because they feel like when Mandela came back from prison, she had done a few things. And, I mean, there are all manner of things, really. I will not sit here and, me.
It's a right bag, isn't it?
Yes, it's a mixed bag of all issues. But for me, all in all, it all contributes to who she is. And her essence in our history. I think that today's young lady needs to understand that if you want to be in leadership, if you want to champion anything, if you want to be, and I'm choosing my words so carefully, it's so difficult for me. If you might have to get your hands dirty at some point.
All right, okay. So
and Winnie Mandela, maybe it's not for everybody.
Right,
maybe I can't get my hands
All right,
dirty.
okay.
But if she can do it, why not?
So why do we blame
Why
Grace
not?
Mugabe, for instance? Let me start with you.
It's different.
No, Grace is a different. No, she's not a second mother commentary.
Winnie Mandela.
No, we're talking about Winnie Mandela, not Grace Mugabe. She's alive and well. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me hear your bones.
He's my man, Mugabe. I love him. I love him.
Right, okay.
Winnie. I don't know if I remember my history well, or I may be confusing Mandela's wives. She's supposed to be the one he met at the bus stop, and that was where they started from.
That's right.
Right. Her outlook, her posture, and everything, and looking at her, should send a message to the rest of the world, especially our countries where we are always fighting for women's rights, gender rights. We should learn from her. I am not sure she asked for affirmative whatever before she moved into her action. She is what God made her. She took benefits of the opportunities at that time. She was fearless. I happen to have met her about twice with Howard Yaku in those years. And when you sit with someone and you listen to the person, then you know the kind of person that person is. An excellent mother, irrespective of all those stories about morality and all the... Look, we are in a society, it's bound to happen. 27 years in jail, and we are human beings. What will not happen? We must make room for this and accept some of these things anyway. Now, you should reflect back the history of South Africa. The apartheid, the struggle she and the husband went through, the trauma, the torture, influenced her outlook at a certain stage and influenced her conduct. But that is not how she would have been if she had grown in Ghana, or if she had grown in South Africa under a cool, democratic, freedom environment before '92. So she came out, Yas and Tua, to fight. So I think suddenly she's 81, am I right? She died at 81. But I'm still, you know, when I see her younghood pictures, then it's like, but just yesterday and the woman is there. So I think she has played her role, whether we like it or not. Behind every successful man is a woman. That is a proof of it. It has worked in South Africa, and the whole of South Africa must be grateful to her, irrespective of the other blind side. Every individual has a blind side. That one we must accept it. And I think if you really test her on emotional intelligence, she will score very, very high.
Okay, thanks for those statements. Like by today's Friday, you want to pay tribute to
Yes, we do. When I think of Mama Mandela, I think of sacrifice. The word that comes to mind is sacrifice. This is a young lady who just got married and was separated from her husband for 27 years. We're not talking about 2 years or 7 years, but 27. Left alone to cater for and nurture and, you know, educate and do everything, run the home and take care of the children. And at the same time, under the most trying conditions of apartheid. She was fearless. She was a leader. She was one that also, this is something that people don't talk much about, she was one who unified a lot of the youth activities. I saw a very moving tribute paid to her by Julius Malema, where he called her over and over and over again Mother of the Nation, and he credited her with the reason why the EFF the economic freedom fighters are where they are today, and that she is theirs. They own her, just like the ANC has, a call to her. So I just want to be able to focus on the good stuff. None of us are perfect. There's a Hausa proverb that says that muduka lientarani, meaning that we are all short of being a 10. We are 9 or something like that. Muduka lientarani. So that is what she is. But I think in totality, when you put her on balance, Winnie Mandela is indeed the mother of the nation, and she's an example not just to South African young ladies, but as you said, to all African women. In fact, women the whole world over.
Okay. Well, so let me shift from the issues of tribute to the dead and talk about the truth of living matters, such as NAGRAT. NAGRAT says that, and I'm sure that it's because of our education system and how sensitive issues are, we ought to talk about NAGRAT. And the fact is that they say they haven't been paid. Government says you've been paid. Monies will hit your accounts today. If not, then Carbonu Angel says that strike is going to continue. Now, I think we'll have to laud government for the quick response, Amma. Yeah, we want to laud government with a quick response. Let me start with you, Alhaji Ibrahim. We want to laud government with a quick response, but usually state resources are so tight in terms of how we prioritize which comes first, what we should do, and government is, saddled with this shortage in this resource. So it looks like everybody would have to go out there and fight for what belongs to them. Yes, I'm not saying government waited for too much.
Yet.
Yes, waited too much. But I am saying that you usually create all kinds of difficulties in the system if you would have to come to that. Because then others will be sitting on the line who say, oh, this is what NAGRAT did to get what they got. So let us rise. Then we have this kind of situation. You understand? We would that if money is available, government should not allow this to happen. If money is available.
If money is available. Yes. In going into the 2000 elections, our current Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Bawumia, famously told us that he worked in the Bank of Ghana. He knows where the money is, that the money is there. So what is it that you're talking about if the money is there? They have all the people. They have the men and they have the women, and they are competent. They are economists. They are bankers. That is what he led us to believe. Now, are you now saying that we should laud the government for paying the hard-working NAGRAT teachers for having worked, sweated, and done the work that they were supposed to do, and having sat at home for years? We're not talking about more than a year, about 18 months.
This goes back 5 years.
Yeah.
So 5 years.
Yeah. And not being paid. I'm just even looking at, the current arguments that they're making.
Who is making, government or NAGRAT?
NAGRAT. Okay. Agreements that they've made with the government back in September that they were going to be paid over and over and over again. The government has not paid. And then these are, arguably statutory payments.
That's a financial inheritance from the previous government, isn't it?
Well, no, that's part of it. That's part of it. But the fact of the matter is that if using the argument of the current government that it was just because of crass incompetence or mismanagement, that's why the funds are not there, and they're going to come and then protect the public purse, leak or plug the holes and all those things. Why are we talking about this now? See, one thing that this reveals to everybody is that it's one thing, okay, to go on campaign and make campaign slogans and say all kinds of things. Governance is a totally different ball game. And that is what this Nana Akufo-Addo government is beginning to see, and they haven't seen anything yet, because there's more and more coming. These guys, NAGRAT, have done their work. They have made agreements. They have adhered to the agreement. But over and over again, we are being told there's no money, there's no money. What happened to the money that Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia was talking about? That he knows. What happened to the money?
They were talking about mismanagement, and that if things are managed well,
very good.
They would be
had 16 months
to have to pay nurses. Isn't it?
They have 16 months
allowances to pay teachers allowances.
Whoever, because they told us
to allow school children to go to school for free.
I go back again to the arguments, the bill of goods that they sold you, me, and everybody else. That they have the men, they have the competencies, they have the skills, they are the economists to properly manage and bring some, to streamline the, financial markets and everything else to this country. Why aren't they doing it?
So you would have thought that within how many months should they have done this?
Within the first month, the way these guys were talking. But you see, we're not even talking about 1 month. This is after a year and 4 months. We are in April now. After a year and 4 months. See, you can make the argument that this is something that is going back 4 years, 5 years.
Let's be realistic here.
I'm being realistic.
The government has got a lot of things to do. If it were any government,
that is why they were put in that place. That is why they were put in that place.
To resolve it within 2 months or 3 months.
This is not 3 months.
This is not 2 months. To have resolved it.
I'm talking about 16 months. Let's be fair. I'm talking about 16 months. This government, with all the noise that they have been making, the way that they talk about no other government than the John Mahama government has had more in terms of revenue than anybody else. At the time, the John Mahama government had 600 million cedis from the oil revenue. These guys are now dealing with 1.5 billion. So far, what happened to the 1.5 billion? And on top of that, they have borrowed 20 billion cedis since December 7th, since January 7th, 2017. What evidence do we have to show what they use those monies for?
What is your suspicion?
Oh, incompetence?
Show me your color. So that's it. Yeah. What's your suspicion?
Where the money is going?
No, where's your suspicion? Yes. You say that. Where's all the money? Where's your suspicion?
No, it's not about my suspicion.
No, so show me
this is something that we put in front of the people for them to account to you, me, and everybody else. It's about accountable governance. It's about transparent governance, probity and accountability. So if they have had 1.6 billion cedis in revenue, more, about three times what the John Mahama government had, and added to that 20 billion cedis, not a million, 20 billion.
Are you counting the debt which they also inherited?
Oh, what debt have they inherited?
From the previous government. All the overloads. What
they told us was that they were now doing what? They were, I forget the word, but they were changing and making it cheaper. So they have some debt swaps with the ESLA bond and all those things. But the fact of the matter is that even though they claim with the Ken bond and everything else to reduce the interest rates and all those things, the debt has been going up and up. But it's not even about how much. The question is, to what use have they put the money that the bonds?
I'm sure Honorable Gambila has answers. No, you come back. You listen to your colleague. I'm sure, Honorable, you have answers to some of the issues.
What have they done with the money?
Well, let me just...
Give us some evidence.
The issue is about NAGRAT.
Tangible.
Okay, this is just something that fell out of it. It's just about NAGRAT and government's response. I'm saying that, look, next time we want to ensure that these things don't... So the school systems are not as well,
You were saying that the government needs to be praised for that.
Well, I said that in this case, the response was very swift.
To be given credit for doing your work?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah. At every job place, we reward performance.
Exactly.
And once you reward performance, it means you are comparing of another worker to the other worker. So you reward one more than the other. So in this case, I'm interested in talking of government. Remove MPP and DC. I'm talking of government. NAGRAT is talking of arrears of allowances and other remunerations.
Unpaid remuneration of some teachers.
That's what they are talking about.
Right.
Not long ago, at a certain stage, teachers who were not taking their salaries were paid. That one, people have forgotten. They were paid their salaries, which were due them, which even was cut. You know, this country will have a certain system. I don't know when we are going to correct it. You work for 1 year, then they come and say, policy-wise, the fiscal year has ended, so they will pay you 3 months. I have been a victim since 1970s or 80s, you know, and I've always wondered where from that law. But then, we have had no problems with that. We've gone through that. Now, NAGRAT is talking of these allowances or the variations left for 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, and 2017. Now we're in 2018. So there was a government that you dealt with, at least for 4 years, you didn't succeed. Then come a new government, just 16 months, and you saying that you're going on strike. You want to use that tool to collect your money. I don't have a problem. And let me also put on record, I empathize and sympathize for teachers' situation. It's very serious. Posted to a place, empty packet, you go and start, and sometimes they pay you only 3 months after 2 years. It's fraud. The country has defrauded people over the years, but we are quiet because the individual, you can't talk and, you know, that kind of thing. For me, that is a good tool to always use. Ultimately, when all mechanisms fail, you use that tool. But this time, they are leaders. It was poor judgment to use this tool now. Okay? Because you've been able to sit for 4 or 5 years. And the new government has come. All things being equal, you will say, oh, we can't sit for another 4 years, isn't it?
Of course. An administrative presumption would say that you inherited the liability.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So
that is the point. Sure that's why I say we are talking of government. I don't want it to be MPP and DC. You think you've taken over, you must carry everything. So, you now sit and say the 16 months, 1 year past, that 1 year, you must use the final tool, which I felt is wrong. And why am I saying so? I'm saying so because I have gone to the ministry, Ghana Education Service, IPPD, where they process these salaries and allowances. And I went there because my brothers at home, far in the village, who are supposed to be promoted from pupil teachers to senior superintendents after going through that program called diploma program. So they gave me their IPPD forms, and I brought it to, I mistakenly took them to controller. And there's one Mrs. Elizabeth Ose also, she's very good, head of IPPD. So she told me, no, it has to go to GS. Then GS will do some input and they will take over. So I should give them to her, she will deliver. You see, she was so kind. November, December, January, February. We are now in April. Okay? The chaps keep calling me. Our thing hasn't come. Each member, oh, that the thing has come, they haven't, it's still the same old thing. So, last 2 weeks, I decided to go there, IPPD. And when I got there, the head said that yes, they've got them. And there are 14,000 teachers in that category. But what has happened is that they have decided, in terms of priorities, which I thought made sense, they have decided to shelve them, those ones, shelve them, and deal with newly posted teachers, who are also about 14,000. Okay? Because these newly posted teachers, when they go, they have nothing in the packet. So they are giving priority, they gave priority to that. So that's why they suspended people who are already teachers and have something to manage, or they know the ground already. And I thought it made sense. And that they had finished that one to get the newly posted teachers, okay, so that no rancor, no problems. Because if they delay again, it's going to be an issue of arrears. So the strategy also was to cut that arrears thing off. The next group was teachers, older teachers, directors, that they just interviewed them. And the time they interviewed them, to that 2 weeks ago that was there, will build some arrears. So they want to avoid that, the arrears. So here again, they gave priority to that so that it will end immediately. Then last week, they would deal with the allowances and I'm not a NAGRAT, I'm not, but public concern, okay? I went there. So I am surprised that NAGRAT leadership did not know that. And they work with the people. Are you getting my point? So that's why I say they have used the right tool at the wrong time. You get my point? So this strike thing, no. And also, you know, the process of payment. Yes, they would say, we have not been paid. Technically, yes. But when you go into the system, the releases and the warrants is in process. Okay? So they are right to say they've not been paid. All they want is the money has hit the account, and he can either ATM or check or cash the withdrawal. So they are right at that. But my concern is, why didn't you know that this is what GES, IPPD are doing for you?
They don't work in connection with these people. You know that they don't work with them. So,
but the union leaders go there. They go to meet the authorities.
But you see, it's not in their interest. This is an association. It is not in their interest.
Yes, but they follow. You see, the association, an association leader must follow to the latter on behalf of his members. That is why we pay dues. We resource you. At the end of the year, the executive is able to account over millions of cedis spent. And the teachers are questioning, what did we spend?
So they should go and tell the members that, look, we went to IPPD, we went here, and this is the thing. So let's keep on waiting.
Because you see it feeling, not waiting.
But in spite of that, when they hit the idea of strike, the money came out.
The money came out. The money has not hit account. That's why they say that they haven't seen the money.
Yes, but I'm saying that.
But they have seen the release.
I have my sector minister saying
that's what it says.
Yes, those who...
Yeah, I understand.
Yes. You see, people must get that language clear.
Right.
For those of us who have worked in public, private, we always have this thing, you know. So it has to be understood.
Understood, all right. Okay.
So it is not about their salary. It is about those variances of allowances. And let me say why I sympathize and empathize for teachers. When you see what is happening in other public sector, if it's some officer travel moving from Accra to Bolga to Paga, SFU, sometimes there's a big truck carrying his things to the place. The ordinary teacher, you say he should go and use STC. He carries his things from here to Seshuyasu or to Bolga or to Nabdam. Okay? He goes there. He's now finding a room to rent. You know all those things. Maslow theory now comes in. Okay? And the TNT, you know, you virtually even forget it. It's annoying, isn't it? You forget it. You say that I'm the senior housemaster. And as a senior housemaster, this is the allowance I should have. I work for 10 years. I never will hear
anything about
see where the PV is lying. It's dead. So over it's not now. Because I happen to have the chance of working with GS before I went into private, and also I have a problem with some of the sectors.
Right.
Okay. You know, so I think they should rethink and actually walk there, see what is happening, and then actually come out.
So you think there's a disconnect now? Amma, your views on this?
For me, you take your victim as you leave your victim.
All right.
You know, it's unfortunate that in the MPP's era, you know, that's based off of what Honorable was just saying. In the MPP's era, this is the time that they decide to go on strike. But I can't blame them for that. You know, I would want to believe that this institution is not a political institution. These are an association of, you know, graduate teachers, and they are saying that over time, for years and years and years and years, and it's here in their statement. I won't even read it out. He said the association could no longer keep up with the government's broken promises, and the only option left for it was to advise themselves. So they are not interested in who is in governance today. They are interested in, for years and years and years, we've been asking for this, we don't get it. Now we are fed up, we are going on strike. It's very legitimate, if you ask me, very legitimate. As to the issue of whether the money has been paid now and it hasn't hit the account, I have something again here for you, and I like to read directly. He says, let me start from here. Claiming that disquiet among NAGWET members had reached its peak over the broken promises, he said, instead of positive results, what they saw were orchestrations, tactics, artful maneuvering, manipulations employed by the Ministry of Finance. Who knows if there's another one of those artful maneuvers? Oh, we've issued the money, but it hasn't hit your account yet. For all we know, this is what they've been hearing for years and years and years and years. Artful maneuverings, manipulations, tactics, all of that. Well, for me, and which is why I would also go on strike if I were in their position. Priorities as a country, priorities. Where are our priorities? You have a government which is now seriously advertising as its trump card, as its one winning, you know, the flag it waves, the answer for everything is free SHS. Now, we have enough money. And I'm not saying it's wrong or it's bad. I'm saying priorities. If you are managing your finances in the house, let's make it domestic. Let's simplify the argument. You are managing your finances in the house, and you know that I have to take care of these are the things I have to take care of. I owe money here. I'm okay here. I owe money there. I'm okay here. What do? You settle your debts before you go on a frolic. Please, if I'm wrong.
Well, you're not wrong to the extent
that you have debts outstanding for how many years now? But you know, you find it convenient to pump the money into some other
headaches, as it were. Let me put it this way: is with children's education when it comes to the packets of the parents.
But this comes back to children's education. It's in the same basket.
So here we have the devil in the deep blue season.
It's in the same basket, like they said. And again, I'd like to quote. I want it here. Oh, it said something about how the school would reopen.
The fees for the final year students, and I'm saying that you need to factor that into it when you're looking.
Exactly.
The monetary implication of all this, you know, it becomes a lot of issues.
That's also one of those artful
tactics and maneuvers.
Why is it? Well, we'll get to that. I'll tell you.
You see, somewhere here,
yes.
I can't find the exact quote. Very artful. I can't find the exact quote, but somewhere in there they talk about how school would reopen, the students would come, but they won't miss the teachers there. What have you done?
So that was why they moved ahead to do it.
What have you done?
Right, that's what they say in the
It's all in one basket.
Okay.
All paying the teacher, giving the students free, what's it called, school fees and all. These are all in one basket. Right. You can't do one without the other because then it will not work. Okay, fine, school has reopened. They don't need to pay school fees. They are in the classroom. There's no teacher. What have you done?
It's not the case that all the teachers are not receiving their salaries. There's a backlog. Of course, when I listened to NG Kabumi, the impression was that there are some teachers who are poked, who are not taking it. I think that is a very serious situation. But then, given the fact that teachers are still on salary, we're just hoping that the areas are paid. So we'll have a situation where kids will go to school and we don't find teachers on campus.
That's what they said. I'm saying something. Yes, I'm quoting something from what they said in their statements.
Okay.
It's unfortunate I can't find the exact quote. That's why I took the paper. But this is what they said: that reopen school, let the students come, but they won't find us in the classroom. That's what they are saying. The arguments I'm making is that when I just lost my train of thoughts there. The arguments I'm making is that yes, I mean it's okay to
flagship system.
Yes. It's okay to be fanciful about saying things, but let's put it all together. Let's be seen to mean what we do. Let's mean it. Let's not do things because it suits us at any particular time. So that if we say free SHS, it's popular, it's good, it will win votes. Well, let's say that. No, let's do what is right, what would actually get the children educated, not just the rhetorics and the. You understand what I'm saying?
There are no rhetorics. They make sure that the kids are in school for free. So there's not that.
Yes, but you don't pay the teachers.
The one hand of it is that the teachers haven't.
That doesn't show a commitment to advancing children's education. It doesn't.
Willing.
It doesn't. And beyond that, I was going to say, sorry. I was going to say that we have had instances where with what's it called, lecturers, they came out. I remember this very well some time ago when research allowances were going to be cut off. I don't know if you remember that situation. And lecturers, yes, and lecturers came out and said that no, those allowances supplement our income. Even though on paper, yes, it looks like it's meant for research. The actual salary we take is so low, so poor, that we use some of these allowances to beef it up. And so let's not take allowances for granted. Let's not talk as if we are giving some wonderful salary, and this is just some small peanuts money on the side, which they are not getting. No, all of these things add up. And when I used to work in the bank, and I say this all the time, what I looked forward to most was my clothing allowance, housing allowance, all the allowances, because when you put those ones together, sometimes those ones are even more juicy than the actual salary you're picking up. So let's not isolate it and say that, oh, you know, they've actually been paid their full salary. These ones are just some small allowances on the side. No,
they look
it's part of it.
It's part of what they deserve.
It's part of it.
Right. So, but we're looking at because closely related to this, and it's creating some kind of you know, anathema. I mean, some kind of opposites is the fact the government is slashing, you know, as it were, the tax and fees, and I'm saying that yes, well, let's hope that it's not just a claim. I'm looking at the financial implication again, because it all comes back to the fact that if they don't pay, you would have to move in there to put in to plug the hole. So you see some implication there, don't you?
Well, you see, the fact of the matter is this: they claim that the third-year students, because that they're slashing half of the fees.
Right.
But when you look at the term, the timing, and the exams and everything that they have to, they're only going to be in school for half, okay, the time that normally they would have been, okay? So instead of, say, a student, you know, tuition being, like, say, 680 cedis, they were told that they only have to pay 50% of it.
Right.
But over and over again, there's been a lot of reports. In fact, parents have come on radio and have testified, not in just one school, but in several schools, that instead of them getting to pay only like 340 cedis, because that is 50% of 680, they have had to pay 547.
Which is not 50% of.
Which is not 50%.
So is it so the schools which are not respecting the orders?
The schools are not, and then on top of that,
the schools are not respecting the orders of the government.
Many of them are not. And on
why
top
would you think they would do a thing like that?
Oh, come on.
Come on, yes.
Yeah, why would they do something?
Yes.
For their personal parochial interest.
Oh, so the schools are just being fraudulent.
Yes, and on top of that, this is what I'm getting to. On top of that, some of the schools are actually even asking the parents and the students to pay motivational fees of 200 cedis each to motivate the teachers to prepare them for whatever exam that
you mean within the context of this?
Yes. We have parents who have come on radio and have testified it, and even some of them have, you know, sent this letters to GES.
Right.
With names of schools and, you know, one in the Volta region and one in the Eastern region. This is something that is, so you see, it goes back to the artful stuff that we're talking about.
But you just admitted that this is being perpetrated by the schools and not the government. You just admitted a while ago that.
Who does the schools come under?
Well, to the extent
who do
that
the schools come
supervision
under?
Is concerned, yes, government.
That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. GES, which comes under the Ministry of Education, right, is responsible for the schools and the teachers, the administrators, and everybody else. That is in the school system. My point is this. As, you know, Honorable Gambila said, very well, it's about performance. Take away the government, NDC, MPP, and all that kind of stuff. But coming into this, we were told that we have the men, we have the competence, we have the skills to be able to make sure that when we come here, we will make sure we'll streamline everything and make sure that everything is done in an oiled, very well-oiled machine so that there are no problems.
That sounds a bit exaggerated, isn't it?
By whom? Me or them? They said even more stuff than what I'm just telling you. All you have to do is play back the 2016 elections. This is what they've told us over and over again, even to the point that Napo was even, you know, calling the former minister, you know, a disgrace because she left some debts. What do we have now? See, but the point is, what we need to look at is about performance. What is happening in our school system? Right. There are still students that are sitting on blocks, cement blocks. There are still students who don't have the appropriate sleeping quarters.
Well, I hope that this is an inheritance you will have to correct, isn't it?
There are still schools, there are still students who are learning under trees.
Right. Let me talk to Honorable Gambila.
These are real issues.
Don't you think that we are taking on too much than we I mean, as a society, because then it's the same tax, it's the same source of money, making money for government and all that. I mean, don't you think that by saying you're slashing, then government is taking on more burden? So if NAGRAT gets to know this, they say, really, you have money to go and pay for this, the slashed part of it. Then you don't have money for us. By saying that it looks only like an antics, these things really don't happen.
Yeah. First of all, let me just take from the bottom. We can never get all school blocks built for all our present school children and the future school children. It will always be ongoing. People are still schools under trees, yes. It's a historical issue since Nkrumah, since colonial government. Okay? But today, we have improved. We have built more schools. So since independence, we have really advanced. We have made progress. We are different from 1957. And you cannot say that women should stop giving birth to children, and children who are already born, their growth should be stuck, so that we finish building school blocks, find all the textbooks before children are pushed into schools. No, that will not happen.
That's true.
Because children are growing each day. Millions of children are qualified to go to school. And at that time, you have to be working with the figures around. So as for the issue of school blocks, it's an issue for all of us. Then also, you see, yes, this government said there is money here. The money is still here. But you see, when you are in a rented house, you pay rent, and you are making efforts to build your own house. You don't just pack out of the house because you've made your mind and you are going to start building a house. You will still stay in the rental house, be paying your rent whilst you are building your house. It's when you finish building the house, then you move house. So a government has come. There has been so much to do.
In a rented house, right?
The systems are still there. The systems are still the same. And you have to respond to the systems and put in measures that you can change the system. Then you move into your new house, your own property. That is how the system works. Okay? So, there was a lot of messages. We also made a message. We said, look, the way the government at that time, as at 2016, was managing the economy, look, it won't keep long. Banks will collapse. We said it. It wasn't it was a prophecy that has come to be. Okay? We said, if you can stop leakages at the ports, get more people to pay taxes, retrieve all dubious monies, dubious judgment debt monies, retrieve monies people took to train people how to ride bicycles in the north, millions of cities, Azontaba, Guinea fowls going to Burkina, and now coming back or not coming back. Retrieve billions and millions of cities given to Agambire to train people from the north who are already weaving baskets, and the training wasn't done, but the money was paid. Retrieve monies given to the same RLG to train people how to ride bicycles in the north.
Are you exaggerating?
It's in the GDA report. There's a report on that.
How do you train Northerners how to ride?
That is it. That is in the GDA report.
Elijah Ibrahim, I think.
Are you getting my point? It's in the GDA report.
And no Guinea fowls flew to Burkina Faso.
Very good.
Let's not. Otherwise, future generation will say this.
But that was what we were told.
Nobody told. It's a politician who just said that probably the Guinea fowls have flown to Burkina Faso.
There was a categorical statement that the Guinea fowls went to Burkina.
Anyway.
Communicators.
Well, it was just a joke. Somebody was putting it. But it's becoming a historical fact. Which is okay.
There were no Guinea fowls. But
anyway.
No, of course.
All right, okay.
How do you train me, Boniface, from NABDAM, how to ride bicycle, when I'm already riding bicycle? And you pay up to 50 million to somebody? Okay? So, if you don't do that, that money is in Ghana. You will use it to pay free secondary school. Okay?
So that's what he meant.
That's what it means. And so many others. And also Ghana Beyond 8. Now we are moving from another vision to another vision.
Okay. Really? All right.
Now, in terms of priorities, yes, I agree. Priorities. And when you want to pick a priority, you can set a criteria, but the two key things is urgent and emergent. Okay? Is the issue urgent, or the issue is urgent and emergent? That is how you pick your priorities. Now, there were teachers who have been teaching for 2, 3, even 5 years, no pay. Then the basket you have, that is it. That is the basket you have. So how do you set up the priorities? You are looking for allowance, transport allowance, that allowance, but you are already on salary.
Yeah, but I'm saying that
I'm coming.
It's theirs by right because they work for it.
I'm coming. I began by telling you that the issue, that is the right tool, but it has leadership misjudgment.
But my problem was with the fact that we're slashing the third term fee. Somebody must pick up the tab.
That is government. That is government.
But then, if you have money to do that, then Douglas is going to say, look at them again.
Yes, you will say so, but I'm saying that is the basket full of this money. And I'm saying that, yes, we agree. You will be paid. You have something in your pocket. Your colleagues that you are fighting for, you see, they've been selfish. They didn't talk about the teacher who has not been paid for 1 year. They are talking about their allowance.
Oh, plus those who have been on the job and have not been paid for 2 years. I had Kabanu say that.
So that is what, then that is the point.
All right.
No, let me conclude. So the point is that is the basket, and therefore you look at it and say, which one should I pay now?
Right.
So the decision is, let it go to those who are empty packeted for 2 years, no pay, and then deal with these people.
Right,
and that is where you play the
game. I moved to
then in all of this, how does slashing third-term fees
exactly.
come up?
How does what?
You see how that slashing third-term fees come up?
There's no such thing.
You have
they did not slash it.
It's to the benefit of parents, isn't it? It's parents who will pay.
The benefits of parents who are paying already.
I am thinking that
they make it sound like
You see, my problem is...
Government is taking on too much.
problem with all of
this...
We're on SDG 4.
Right, okay.
I won't even get into whether government is taking on too much or not. That is for government to decide. For me, as a citizen sitting back and watching from home, my question is, what is the fixation with this free stuff when we need to be paying people we owe? I don't get it. Maybe there's something I'm missing, which is why I talk about priorities. You owe people money. You won't pay. But you rather go and slash fees. I mean, I understand what, Honorable is also talking about in terms of it just being artificial. But we could get into that. I don't even want to. I don't want to.
You want to clarify?
I don't want to go there yet.
Fee, how does it affect payment of allowance?
Because, like, Kwame was making the point just now.
The schools run on a certain budget revenue. Pay. So they all come to school. When you slash it, there's going to be some upheaval with their financial system. Whether you know it or not, maybe if they are not, they don't feel it.
Alaji said it. You are coming to school for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But you are coming for 3 weeks. And I say, don't pay full. Pay half. What is wrong with that? Well, it's a social intervention.
Yes, but countries that do social interventions don't owe teachers. Please, let's get it right. You don't do social interventions.
But Honorable,
you cannot get everything on an even key.
I understand that.
There's no economic situation wages.
I totally understand it, and I appreciate that. But the truth is that, you see, which is why I always say, on this issue, I've been talking about priorities. Baby steps first. You can't even, you want to run.
Well, I want to talk about the Ghana-U.S. Military Cooperation Pact, the president's statement yesterday, and other matters arising. But so let's go take a short break. When we come back, we'll continue that topic. All right? So stay tuned with me and don't go away.
No political party will come into his enemies into office.
I see. If we're going to kill it, we should let people realize that certain things are not acceptable anymore.
How would you kill it?
But you have agreed. You have agreed at this point that, assuming that there's no merit in whatever is brought, the president could kill it.
They didn't get a second term. They were sacked from office.
I'll
Thank you very much for being part of this program. I'm sure that it hasn't just been the newspaper review, but it has been the subject matter of, as it were, commentary.
It's about exposing the vulnerabilities women face.
You have to go to an occasion and people will be like, okay, look at this scary lady coming up. And it was so devastating for me at that time. And I just feel like, okay, if this is how the situation is going to be, then I have to accept myself. I have to embrace what I am.
It's about being ready to speak out for our own rights.
If you see a nice girl, then the assumption is that she enticed the man. What was she wearing? My dear, it does not matter what a young girl is wearing. It is not enough grounds for you to rape the girl.
We are always striving to reach the top, no matter what.
Every woman must know that she has a deep-seated strength. That strength that can put her over every hurdle. And that strength should actually encourage you to do more than you think you can do.
We are frank about who we are.
We all have something, no matter where you find yourself. Let somebody remember you for something good, because you need to put yourself on the line, because some people have done it so that you can go to school, so you can have a voice, just to make sure that women's voices could be heard.
And in today's world, we do have a say.
Actually, they are dead drunk. We don't have a voice. With that voice, we can change the world. With that voice, we can take command of our broken communities.
Women's Voice, weekdays on GBC 24 at 4 p.m. and on Mondays on GTV at 4 p.m. Women's Voice, articulating the issues affecting women and sharing their unique stories with the rest of the world.
Well, I'm sure that you want to be part of this discussion, and so you have my WhatsApp number, or the WhatsApp number for this program, crawling on your sets. Then we have, if you want to be on Facebook, it's Weekly Press Review /GBC24, and live streaming on YouTube we have at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. So please just be part of this contribution and let us see exactly what you think about what we're discussing. Now, the president says in yesterday's live broadcast that no U.S. military base in Ghana, president declares, and it goes on to say that with the kind of comments which is being made public, it questions the patriotism of some political leaders who are going around saying things that are very defamatory. And if I'll quote Daily Graphic, so the president says he's outraged by those comments. And I think that that is a very serious matter if you are outraging your president, Alhaji Ibrahim. I mean, we are getting our president outraged. We're getting him angry, but he can get angry.
Well, the good thing is that we're not living in a tyrannical state where, you know, citizens, not spectators, cannot question their leaders.
So that is his mantra, you understand?
You know,
okay.
we are citizens, aren't we?
Yes.
But you see, I mean, on a more serious note, Nana Akufo's address was, you know, it really lacked substance. You know, his demeanor, he came across as viewing, you know, he was very angry, he was outraged, and he was divisive, and he kind of sounded condescending, looking down on...
No, he didn't see why such a simple matter should be so twisted.
A simple matter as in, our sovereignty?
No, as in no base, no request for a base, but we go out there to say that there was a request for a base. So, you see, I mean, the man comes out and say that, why are we doing this?
He had a great opportunity last night for him to explain, to really break it down for everybody to understand, and for him to make the case that indeed there was not a military base, there was no request, none of those stuff. But no, what did he do? He stood there as Emperor Nana Akufo-Addo, where he castigated us, called us names. We were cynical, we were self-seeking.
No, let's not exaggerate. These words are there, but I'm saying that
these are his words.
Yes, but I'm saying that because at the end of the day, the president. I'm also following the text. The president is saying that why don't we channel our energies into national? Why do we allow this to occupy us?
This is important. Why do we allow this to occupy? This is why Sergeant Ajete and his other sergeants like that died, to protect our sovereignty, to protect our independence. What we're talking about is us giving up what we have worked for a long time. And see, Nana, he came also across as being really out of touch with reality. He was clueless. Why did he wait all this while, okay? And here he comes, Johnny come lately, you know, struggling to lead from behind. When the ordinary citizens, and this is people from all sides of the political divide.
But given given the kind of issues which was put in the public domain and the kind of documents which were available, did it even require the president to make comments on these things? Let's assume that we all understood, we had access to all the documents. Did we even have to, if we didn't want to twist the truth?
He is the leader of the Republic of Ghana. Yeah. It was his responsibility to get ahead of the game, set the tone, tell us what it is, you know, lay the issues before us, to tell us what it is that this is about, and also to put our minds at ease, even if there were some twisted truths or whatever it is that he called it. But he did not do that. He waited So you and I and everybody else have already made up our minds. And then he comes in and then tells us, and he's looking down upon us as self-seeking cynics. You know, cynics who kind of wallow in the largesse of United States America, okay, while we go around, you know, whipping up anti-American sentiments. And I tell you, the people who are doing this are not anti-American. I can tell you, for instance, I am not anti-American. If anything, I have profited and benefited a lot from the American system. I went to school there, I worked there, and all those kind of things. And there are many others.
No, so don't let us talk about the issue. Let's talk about what it is.
Well, the issue is...
Did they make a request for a base? If we know the document, did they make a request for a base?
Just because you don't see the word U.S. military base does not mean that there's not a base there. What does it mean to have, okay, facilities?
It's a presence.
What is the presence? See, and there are people who are more well educated on this issue about military and all of that than I am. But the basic definition of a military base is when you have a facility where some military folks, whatever the number is, they set up their camp, they set up a facility, they set up where they sleep, they do their operations. That is a military base. Would you find the word U.S. military base in the DCA, in the Defense Cooperation Agreement? No, you will not find it. But in essence, it is a military base because what they're asking for is the ability for them to come in and do whatever that they need to do to carry out their mandate, okay, to have access to our unimpeded access, okay, to our land, territorial waters, sea and air, and not only that, to have free access to our radio spectrum, untaxed.
Within the context of this corporation.
Within the context of this corporation. Okay, but you see, the point of the matter is this. The point of the matter is this. And you don't do that, without really giving the people, you and I, our representatives, the voice to issue and to say out what our concerns are. And when we do that,
by doing that, we need to keep close to the text.
But we are keeping close to the text. And in fact,
in the text,
president got it wrong. He got it. No, just because the word U.S. military base is not there. I just explain to you.
I understand where you're coming from.
That's what it is.
But you see, if anybody's interpreting this document, you would want to look at the words which were used.
Well, it's not just the word. You have to go beyond the words to the meaning, the inference that you draw, the deductions that you make from the meaning of the words.
Right,
okay. But before we go, there's one thing there are two things that he got categorically wrong.
Which was?
He claimed, Nana Akufo-Addo claimed that he was being, transparent, integrity, and all those things in bringing the matter before the Parliament. Yeah. But indeed, he was compelled to do that. He had no choice in the matter because
given the fact that there was an international agreement.
Not only that, but because of the Supreme Court judgment on the Gitmo 2, he was compelled to do that. They made it sure that anything that had, in a national agreement like this, he had to bring it before. Whereas his predecessors did not have to do that because they used diplomatic notes. Okay? Diplomatic notes, and they did not have to do that. That's one. Right. That's one. The second one, and this is more damning, for the commander-in-chief to make a categorical statement that the Ghana military did not have to, they do not travel with service passport is wrong, that they only use their military IDs. That is not correct.
We'll find out.
Actually, no, it's a fact. I have verified this. I have verified this with a friend.
I'm not challenging your comments here, but I just want your colleague to.
But it's important that we make the case that you don't have the commander-in-chief not know what is going on.
Well,
and that is why he's clueless.
But of course, in the course of all these comments, we'll have people calling in and out, of this, and then contribute, to the program. Honorable.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. Well, because you find that if in the text there was no the use of the word base, and he's pulling an inference and saying, look, they don't need to use those words. So what it means is that he, as an individual, doesn't believe in what the president said, isn't it?
It's not. No, I don't.
You as
it's
an
not
individual.
just me. All you have to
no,
do
you
is,
as an individual.
I don't.
So let me hear your
look
colleague.
Also at social media and commentary, people who are not just because I'm NDC, but people from all political divides.
Okay, no problem. Let's listen to Honorable Gambila.
Kwame.
Yes, sir.
You see, in 2016 December, when we went for the elections, it was NPP challenging NDC that was in power. And there were other parties, PNC and what? CPP.
And PPP.
And PPP. You remember? Now, at the demonstration recently, this was the group that went for the demonstration. Okay? Now, the US-Ghana military agreement, they said military agreement. They didn't say Christian or religious church agreement. Military. It wasn't a church matter. So the Americans coming will not go to the Catholic cathedral. They asked where would they stay to do the training and to also access training. And the agreement says you will have access to our military facilities. Now they coming on training for a purpose. What is the purpose and what is the objective? Peace and security on the continent. Okay? So, from past experience, what do you need to be able to stay here to, one, deter those terrorist people are exaggerating, who are now closer to Burkina, or they've been coming to Burkina and Cote d'Ivoire and going back. If you leave your house open, thieves will come in, armed robbers will come in. You have to put some obstacles. Some of the iron bars you put for your windows, they are not strong. It's just that a thief or an armed robber doesn't have the patience to be cutting unless you are not at home.
So you are saying that we had a false sense of security, is that what you're saying?
Pardon me?
We have a false sense of security because there was nothing that precipitates that we should have these people around. And you know their presence attracts.
We go to the UN. We go to AU. We are at peacekeeping with these people. We have seen what has happened, and the Americans came here because of Boko Haram. They were located here because of Boko Haram, 2-3 countries away. Okay? So the purpose is the security, and this it's a global fight against terrorism. There are people out there telling lies for Islam. There are people out there telling lies for, I don't know, the IRAs.
And you know the anti-American sentiments everywhere. You know it.
So do we have to sit back?
No, I'm saying that you know the anti-American sentiments, not anti-Ghanaian sentiments.
Yes, but we are collaborating. We are cooperating globally. We wouldn't leave the doors just free like that.
So they could even come against us, even if the Americans were not here.
Yes, but they were coming into Burkina. What did Burkina do? What did Burkina do to them? But they came to Burkina. What did Ouattara in Cote d'Ivoire do to them?
Because of France's interest, and France was in the Maghreb.
You know NATO?
Yes.
Is British part of NATO? And are we related with Britain? So that doesn't work. So the purpose is a military program. It's not a church program. Okay? In fact, the speech, I don't know why they didn't use, the documents say you have access to our military facilities and airspace and ground space and all that. We should have used the word barracks. American will use base. Okay? So like I'm saying, The document didn't say they will come and own a base, build a base and own it as other places. The Americans are in Cuba. They have finished. People say Americans have refused to move. Refused to move how? Me and my house. The Cubans underground want them there. So people should stop propaganding that the Americans have refused to move out of Guantanamo. Cuba wants them there. That's why they are quiet. America feared Cuba. The Bay of Pigs, you remember?
I know the story.
So how can they tell Cuba will move? Now, what is this thing about nuclear and chemical weapons? They are coming, we wouldn't search them. My brother, you see, the agreement with America is not for children things. We respect them, they respect us. We have done all these things with them before, you know. They will not just come with chemical weapons. The international conventions.
Would you with respect, there's a caller on the line who wants to contribute to this program before you go on. Yes, good afternoon and welcome to the program, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yes, your name and where you're calling from, sir, and your comments.
My name is Safura. Let me say good afternoon to your great suspect.
Very well.
But I want to ask, those cartridges are Ghanaians or not?
Come again, sir.
Cartridges. One of your real suspects mentioned cartridges. That is why I want to ask him, they are Ghanaians or not? You know one thing.
Go ahead.
Just recently, President Nana Akufo-Addo went to U.S. General Assembly. He made a statement that he will collaborate with American president to fight terrorism. Are we fight with terrorism in Ghana here? That is the danger. He will collaborate with America to fight terrorism. Ghana, are we fight with terrorism?
Okay.
Let me leave it that.
I understand where you're coming from.
They should go on. They should go and do whatever they want. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, I understand where he's coming from. That's, you know, it's the same old argument all of us are parrying around.
Now, let me diffuse this argument that when people make reference to 98 deal and 2015 and
2000
and later Mahamas wrote requesting or begging for American base. Look, the reference is not because the previous government did it. The reference is because there was sense in it and there were benefits in it in terms of our collaboration. Not because NDC did it, I will also do it. No. The principle on which it was done makes sense.
There's a call on the line again. Yes, good afternoon and welcome, sir. Good afternoon, sir, and welcome. Hello. Well, I think I've lost the person. I don't know.
Sovereignty.
Sovereignty, yes.
Argument on sovereignty. That they will take our airspace unimpeded. They will come on our land unimpeded. You see? When any aircraft or when any of the intervention is going to take place, there will be correspondence between Ghana, the actors.
Your friend is back on the line. Oh. Yes, good afternoon, sir. Yes, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Your name and where you're calling from and your comments, sir. Quick one, sir.
Please, I'm calling from Tema, and my name is Randy.
Randy, go ahead, sir.
Yes, I'm actually listening to the show, and I like it very much. I think on the Ghana-US thing, I was expecting the man to talk about what he was going to say, but he didn't allow him. Oh. The international laws does not even allow Americans to bring anything they want to bring into this country. It's the same way if we were there, we will not be allowed to take anything we want to, because there are some international laws that are guiding and protecting the fact that I cannot just wake up and carry any weapon into somebody's country, like a nuclear weapon, for instance. Yes. These are some of the simple things I just wanted to add. So, and also one thing, before the contract, if you read the headline, you'll notice that it talks about sovereignty right there. The sovereignty alone is telling us that we have respect for each other's sovereignty. So how can they come into this country and demean your sovereignty or break it down? It's just not possible. And it's like people are not telling us the truth, and I would prefer the media help us a lot by educating us more on certain topics.
Right. My brother, thank you very much for your comments. All right, okay. Well, let me just read a comment before I move on to Amma. Honorable, you allow Amma to make the next comment. Where do you want the soldiers to come in to sleep? Somebody's asking me that question. He said they would definitely need a particular place to do their dealings. When the NDC government signed similar agreements, did they sleep and did their stuff in the air? Let's just be humans and help Mother Ghana grow. Lino from Alaju here in Accra. The president did no wrong. Please, moderator, kindly ask the NDC man that why didn't the NDC in 2015 send the agreement to Parliament? Nana is indeed a true statesman and he loves the country. NDC would please learn and stop lying. Far says so. Mr. Host, what are you talking? What are you talking hypocrisy? But all those words the president used, are we in a democracy or what? If the president says something and we want to talk about it, you are gagging the people. Is the president God? But if were to be Muhammad, you would ask about it, huh? God is watching. God is watching also from Elijah. Also, I'm not gagging anybody here. Amma, your comment.
Well, for me,
there's another call on the line. I think about 4 or 5 calls before you have enough time. Yes. Good afternoon and welcome, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
And your name and where you're calling from and your comment, sir.
Yeah, my name is Abdallah Ishaq Farrakhan, speaking from Ashaiman.
Very well, my brother.
I wanted to contribute about what the president was talking about.
Very well, sir. Yes, sir.
No any military base in Ghana. You know, I'm very surprised. Maybe some of us don't understand the English very well. But when you talk of base, what is the meaning of base? Base is whereby maybe people gathered and maybe live there for either temporary or for a longer time. That is base. But now the whole president of Ghana telling the whole world and Ghanaians that there is not going to be any base in the U.S. But the people are coming to base here. They are coming to stay here, do whatever they want here. They will enter to and fro Ghana and outside Ghana without any search. And they can even drive in Ghana without using a driving license. How can a Ghanaian, even our sitting president, here, Kuwadu himself, if he is going to the U.S., he ought to go and apply for a visa. And this Abongo boy or somebody who is not even having a level of education, as maybe a soldier man from U.S., coming to our country without a passport, just by using the U.S. Army card. So what about a Boko Haram person, disguise himself as an American, wear an American military attire and come here into the country without searching him? Can't he going to cause havoc to the country? Pastor, we are very sad for Mother Ghana today. Ghana is very, very sad.
All right.
We never knew this situation is taking Ghana to.
All right.
We are very, very sad as Ghanaians. Today, we can't live, we can't stay, we can't sleep. Thank you very much for your time.
Right, thank you very much. Okay, Amma.
Well, for me...
But be ready for the...
Yes, I am. It was a missed opportunity.
Right.
It really was a missed opportunity.
Okay.
And I say this because it was the perfect opportunity for the president to carry us along with him. To carry us along with, like, Honorable, explain the issues better to us so we understand it better. I think the best explanation I've heard so far on this issue of the agreement was signed before 1998, 2000, 2015.
Well, somebody has intervened and says that he wants to be part of the discussion.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Where are you calling from, sir?
My name is Foster. I'm calling from Tema. So
very well, Foster. Your comment, sir?
Tema.
Yeah, I'm saying your comment, sir.
You said?
Your comments.
I also wanted to share my mind on the program.
Very well.
Concerning what the president said about the American. Yeah. My problem, I wanted to ask the meaning of the. Yeah, I wanted to ask about the sovereignty.
Your set.
The meaning of sovereignty.
Yeah, boss.
I wanted to know more about it.
My brother, you are closer to your set, and so the echo is what is disturbing you, and I'm not getting you clear.
The meaning of it, the meaning of our sovereignty.
Oh, the meaning of our sovereignty. Okay, no problem. We've heard that one. Thank you very much. Amma.
Yes, I was saying that it was a missed opportunity.
Right, okay.
And the best explanation for this whole argument of, a previous contracts being signed in the same spirit in 1998, 2000, 2015 is one which has been done by Honorable right here. When he says that it is not just an issue of us following through an agreement for its sake, but we follow through it because we believed in it. This is what I expected to hear from the president, you know, because just making the argument.
Let me take the last call. Let me just take the last call. Good afternoon, sir, and where you're calling from?
Hello?
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon.
Yes, your name and where you're calling from, sir, and your comments.
My name is Wisdom Akum.
Very well. Very well. Your comments, sir.
I wanted to ask.
Your set is giving you a feedback. So draw away from the set and make your comments. All right. Oh no, I've lost this nice gentleman. Amma.
Yes.
That was the last call. I lost the opportunity.
I was saying that this perhaps is the best argument to make, that we went along with the 1998 agreement, 2000 agreement, 2015 agreements, because we believed in those previous agreements and we are sticking and standing by it. Just making the arguments for its sake, that because there was the previous administration signed similar agreements, for me was so lame. It was a non-starter, because then what's the point of governance?
Okay.
What's the point of a change? You know, the point of the change is so that you can review some of these things. If you felt that it was not in good taste, it was not in the interest of Ghanaians, so you could review it. And so to come out and say that it was done in 1998, 2000, and so don't question IRS, you should have questioned DS, for me was just, you know, so if Honorable is making the point that those previous arrangements were perfect, or present government sees wisdom in those previous
principles.
Exactly, and that is why they are going ahead with it. I can understand that, and I would argue with them based on the principles and whatever they are in the contract. But on the face of it, that's a valid argument to make. That makes more sense to me than just the fact that they did it and we are doing it. So why didn't you question them and why, you know?
But suddenly that's what the president said.
Yeah, that's not what the president said. Exactly.
So let's declare about that.
Exactly, which is what I'm talking about, missed opportunity.
Right, to say that.
Yes.
Those things. Okay.
This is what I mean by a mixed opportunity, because what the president, you know, I was expecting him to carry us along with him. He talks about openness, you know, and I don't want to talk too much, because most of these things that I want to talk about have already been, you know, spoken about. The fact that he did not have a choice and all of that, it's already been, you know, people are already talking about this. My question with this whole issue of openness is, openness to what end? To what end? Okay, fine. So now, let's not even argue about the fact that you didn't have a choice. Let's say you had a choice and you decided to be open with us. So you have been open with us. You have given us all the facts. You have, you know, instead of hiding it like the previous administration did, you have been open. You've given it, everybody knows what it is and all of that. To what end? Why did you do that? Okay. So that we could interrogate the matters and interrogate the facts.
Right, okay.
Give you feedback and tell you that, Mr. President, we do not like this.
Right.
So that you could come back to us and say that, based on the feedback that you have given to me, based off of my openness to you, I'm going back to take a look at this contract again and do the needful.
Right. I'm sure that we've belabored a point. May I move on to the fact of TIN? And I want to do that very quickly before I just cut off of this place. Look, we need a lot of time to discuss all these issues, but let me go on to the recent thing. You don't have to. Just talk about the thing. I mean, yes, and I think it's a very important thing for us to look at.
My last point was so important.
Yeah, I mean, myself.
So you take that last point and make a quick one. A quick one.
The president missed the opportunity to call for the prosecution of those who deceived this country by doing secret agreements.
Okay, no problem. We heard that one. Right, okay. So now don't miss that opportunity.
Yeah, he missed that. I expect them to take action on that.
Problem. Okay.
Because you don't vote for you and you come and do secret things.
A quick one on broadening the tax net and everybody going for tax identification number. And we have the national identification system too, so I'm just looking at that. So a quick one.
When the government implemented the free secondary school,
right.
One thing I said on media was that, is the GRA proactive? Because if I were GRA at that time, I would tie that free admissions with registration of tax numbers.
But that wasn't done.
It wasn't done. But I've seen an advert subsequently.
Right, okay.
I've seen an advert subsequently calling people to come and register. I think Ghana, sometimes we just pick laws
right.
and implement
right.
Western laws, especially, or what we learned in Britain.
So you don't think this is a very good system?
Oh no, it's good.
Right.
But I'm talking of the way they are going to approach it.
Right.
Because they should first of all know that the larger population is rural.
Right.
And the larger population also illiterate.
Right. So I get the message.
So we should factor our cultural values into all that.
In implementation.
For me, again, back on implementation,
yes.
Here we are, we are being told that we are doing it, it's in effect, and yet all the institutions that are supposed to check it are saying that we don't have the facilities for it. For instance, DVLA,
right.
Passport Office, all of them are saying that we don't even have the documents
right.
to give to people when they come in
right.
to ask them for the TIN numbers.
Okay.
So sometimes let's do our homework first before we come out to announce.
A good one. I like it.
I think
you've seen my lady.
It's a very good idea, but there's lack of education. There must be citizen education to
right.
make this work.
Right. Right. Now, let me just take the text message and then I just can run out from here. Hey, sir, this is the most interesting and adorable interview I've ever witnessed watching GBC 24. Good talk, ladies and gentlemen. My simple question to the president, would the U.S. tell us point blank that they want a place to use as military base before he would understand what the agreement is all about? Or is it that he wants to fulfill his promise to Donald Trump on helping fight terrorism, whatever it is? I think your duty as a journalist or host is to give us the right information to help the citizens have the right information. You always sound like you just have to listen to them and to the end of the program. Well, I'm just a host and I have a way of moderating. So we're starting with Bush. Well, so Honorable Gambila, Amma Pratt, and my good friend Alhaji Rashid Haruna Ibrahim, I wish you a very good Friday. And the rest of you, thank you very much for coming. Same time next week, I want to see you. We'll make more comments on some of this issue. Bye-bye and stay fine.
Thank you.
In our case, Ghanaians sometimes do not want the truth.
See, when you say such things, it's a